Welcome to the No Name Music Cast. To follow us on Instagram, go to No Name Music Cast Podcast. To send us an email, it's nonamemusiccast@gmail.com. And to visit our website, go to nonamemusiccast.com. Now, on with the show. Hello and welcome, everybody. Welcome to the No Name Music Cast. My name's Tim, and this is
Joy.
And once again, a passionate pre-show discussion with Joy before the show and before I hit record and play this evening. Maybe, as I said, we need to develop this No Name Music Cast After Dark option. I don't know.
I don't know, because it could be dangerous. But with that being said, maybe I use Tim as a soundboard for things of life if it's appropriate or if he understands what I'm saying. Or Tim has, and whether you want to admit or not, I do think Tim has a very interesting perception on life because he's lived in multiple areas. He's traveled. It makes him very well versed, and he can talk about things that I think I understand, but I don't understand. I ask him because he's lived it.
Yeah.
And so truly.
Yeah, I've lived in two separate countries, the same language, but two completely separate cultures, in fact. I've been around. I've traveled. I've seen a million faces. I rock them all, you know.
Seems a very interesting statement. But with that being said, I think Tim has a little bit of music news, emotional outbursts, whatever it is. I'll let him take it from here.
Okay, so it's just a couple of things. So Paul McCartney. Now, Paul McCartney has been very active on television recently.
Yeah.
He played at the season 51 finale of Saturday Night Live with his band. It was everyone except his drummer. I think his drummer had a family emergency, so there was a fill-in drummer, in fact.
Okay.
Which was unusual for him, but anyhow, that's fine. And yesterday was the finale of The Late Show. The Late Show is a franchise that was started in 1993 by David Letterman, and he went all the way up to around 11 years ago, and when Stephen Colbert took over that franchise. Now, I'm not going to get into the reasons why his show and the franchise was cancelled, because that's a discussion for another time. However, Paul McCartney closed The Late Show. Now, as everyone knows, The Late Show was filmed at the Ed Sullivan Theatre, and the Ed Sullivan Theatre is where the Beatles famously performed on the Ed Sullivan Show, bringing Beatlemania and all that kind of cultural stuff to the United States in the 60s, in 1964 to be precise. The question I have for you, Joy, have you seen any footage of Paul McCartney performing recently, whether it was Colbert yesterday or the Late Show?
Weirdly enough,
or Saturday
yes.
Night Live, should I say?
I was just watching him within the last 5 years on YouTube, and it's hard because he still feels like mentally is there, but physically is not all there.
Yeah, I mean, for somebody who's 84 years old, he is beginning to show signs of aging. I mean,
yes.
Through his 70s, he still looked like a spry young man. You look at his face now, he does look like an older chap. I mean, he looks better than any 84-year-old that I've ever met. But the question I have for you, if we're being completely honest and completely objective,
oh God,
Paul McCartney cannot sing anymore. His singing voice is awful.
It's rough.
He
can play instruments, but
he plays
sing.
bass fine. And in fact, on Colbert, they closed that with Hello, Goodbye. And I'm listening to the bass line he's playing. Absolutely superb and spot on. You know, he is fantastic. But his voice is a joke. It really is. But the question I have for you, does that bother you? Are you just happy that in 2026 we have a Beatle still alive, still performing, and you'll just take whatever?
Absolutely. So the matter is someone who is Tim is a guitarist, Joy is a vocalist. We've talked this for years. I've studied this for years. As you get older, your larynx, literally your voice box, is going to lose muscle mass. It's going to lose elasticity. moisture, dryness, all of this is going to affect you. Your ability to sing for many years, your vocal cords, if you have vocal nodules, which happens naturally over time, they start rubbing. That's just going to happen. It's like, Tim, truly, it's like if you're playing a guitar for many years, at some point in time, it's going to age out.
Yeah.
Your vocal cords are a muscle. And the fact that he's made it this far into his 80s, and it's the first time we're really hearing it, there's also cartilage hardenings, tissue softness, reduced lung capacity. I hate to say this, but I know that the Beatles smoked cigarettes, probably smoked the Mara. Say that for what you will, because I'm not going to get this podcast banned, and other things. And so at times that's going to affect it, but I don't actually care. I really don't care. This man could sound like the most out of tune, worst thing I've ever heard in my entire life, and I know vocally everything he's been through and everything he's done for music, and I will listen to him. I don't care.
Yeah, I think I'm of the same opinion. As I said, technically, it's not good at all. If this was any other kind of singer from any other genre who wasn't a Beatle, you'd be like, goodness me, don't do that. But, he's an absolute, not even a national treasure. He's a world treasure. He was a member of the Beatles. He's Paul McCartney. And the fact that we still have Paul McCartney and he's happy and healthy enough to perform still, I think says something. But, as I said, it's hard not to be objective because I watched him on the Saturday Night Live finale and it was really rough and hard to listen to.
I feel like it makes you sad because it's rough and hard to listen to because, like, even when we were watching him with, as much as we hate James Corden, when he did the carpool karaoke, which I made Tim listen to begrudgingly from Tim's point of view, but I made him listen to it. He still sounded, if you come on to me, and he was singing his newest album, and it felt very spry and very young, and it was very on point. Now, much of that was touched by, I don't know, AI or whatever at that point. I don't know. But everything that I've heard from him for years has sounded very much like he's still with it. And that's great. But we also have to be realistic to the fact that, man's old. Yeah. And we're old, Tim. And the 90s wasn't 30 years ago, and hearing him sound rough. But, it is hard because they're like, dang, we hear this person, we've loved them, they've been, beacon and they've always sounded great and they're not this, but we have to be realistic. Man's in his 80s. Yeah. And I would go to his concert tomorrow just to say I went to his concert. And if it sounds terrible, well, I'm going to an 80-year-old concert. What did I expect?
Exactly. As I said, I think that's where I am with it. I just try and look at it objectively, like the fact that we still have a Beatle. We still have a Beatle that's healthy enough to perform, and that's good enough in itself. But as I said, if this was anyone else that wasn't Paul McCartney, you would listen to that and you'd cringe and you'd turn it off.
But the other thing, though, is one thing that I wanted to express to someone who is a vocalist is vocals are an instrument, Tim. And if you wear an instrument down, right, Tim, if you've been using the same guitar for, 70 years, it might be a little rough, right?
No, sure. I mean, the fact that his voice is shot at his age isn't so much the issue. It's just the fact that he's continuing to do it and people still seem to love it, though objectively it is terrible.
I know. I'm just saying that, I just want, as a vocalist, I want people to understand that, this is an instrument and it gets weared down. It gets weared down like anything else. Yeah. So that was the point I was making. And Tim's right. People who replace their guitars, they replace their drums. When it gets worn out, but, how do you replace your vocal cords, right? I guess there may be a surgery out there, but we're not going to talk about that. I'm not a scientist. With that being said, Tim, was that your only piece of music news? That's okay if it was.
Yeah, that's all I have at this juncture.
I have some really sad news, Tim, and I don't know if you know this. Rob Bass, he died an hour ago.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't hear that. What, Rob Bass and DJ Easy Rock with their famous song from the 80s called It Takes Two.
Yes. So sadly, and right now it's his birthday.
Oh.
May 22nd. This will not come out. But yeah, he died today. He had cancer, unfortunately. We don't really know him, Rob. And this was the release from his family. It was his 59th birthday. 4 days ago. What? Oh, one more said this. I'm sorry. I thought it was today, but apparently his birthday was 4 days ago. But the release, he died today, May 22nd. I apologize, guys. I read that wrong. But apparently his quote from his family is Rob's music, energy, and legacy helped shape a generation and brought joy to millions around the world. Beyond the stage, he was a loving father, a family man, friend, and creative force his impact will never be forgotten. Thank you for the music, memories, and the moments that have become a soundtrack to our life. I literally was like looking. We were getting on we and Tim were doing our Joyce just ranting about all the stuff in the world, and Tim mostly listens and says, God, why do I do this every week before we get into this podcast? But with that being said, I was like looking at my music news, and yeah, unfortunately, Tim, he literally passed as we were talking about this.
Well, that is incredibly sad. Rock in peace, sir. I mean, the kind of music that he was making was not really my cup of tea, though I do know that song, It Takes Two, but, an icon of that particular decade, and, we wish him well.
And he was a icon who has put a subset of music out there and influenced things and done all the things. So yeah, I was sad to hear this. And I just thought I would bring it up at the beginning of the podcast. Now, with that being said, tonight is my episode. Did Joy lose her entire notes earlier? Possibly. We're not going to talk about that. Not necessarily needed though, because this is an episode. I Googled this and researched it and clicked through every episode of this podcast because I could not believe this wasn't an episode we had did, Tim. I was fully convinced this existed. We have never actually did a full Shania Twain episode.
Ah.
Did you know that, Tim?
No, we've spoken about Shania so many times. She's come up like the ladies of the 80s and things we've done like that, but never a total Shania episode. All Shania all the time.
Now, I sent Tim a little GIF earlier. I was like, this is a hit for the episode. I didn't know what he took from it. It was Mutt Lange in the studio. That's what it was with this little Mutt Lange haircut or whatever was going on. I was trying to give him a hint because I was very excited about this. And I literally was like, we had to. We've done a Shania episode, Tim. We've never did a full Shania Twain episode. And as Shania Twain aficionados who love her, I felt that it was necessary. Now, recently, one of my favorite, there's two things in life that has happened in the Shania Twain stratosphere we need to talk about. And this is what has prompted this. First of all, Shania never does anything wrong because, she's Shania Twain, of course. But
of course.
There was this cute little, I guess, online trend, TikTok trend, YouTube trend, whatever it was. Whereas, Mama had said it was okay to do whatever this is. And she was like, she posted this on her little TikTok, YouTube, whatever it was. It was like, Mama said it was okay. And Mama was Dolly Parton. I said, to be a country star and or become a pop star. As Shania did. So, we love that. And then recently, we've talked about, I've sent Tim videos. He probably gets annoyed with me because I'm always like, Tim, be engaged with modern day society. And he's like, I don't want to. And I'm like, you have to. I sent him a recent video where she was with Shania Twain. She was with Shania Twain. She was with Sabrina Carpenter. And it was in Dallas, Texas. And it was funny because, Shania, for those who don't know, she had a lot of issues with her vocal cords because she had, what is it, Tim? What's the word I'm trying to find? Where she, with the word tick bite.
Oh, Lyme disease.
She had Lyme. I almost said lupus. Is that's not right. That's not right. She had Lyme disease that affected her vocal cords. If you don't believe that, go Google it. It's a real thing. It really can actually screw you up for life. It's rough. It is rough. And she had that happening, and I was very happy. It was a big problem in her to be able to do music for many years. And she recently performed with Sabrina Carpenter. And whether you love or hate Sabrina Carpenter, she is modern day pop music. And she seems to really enjoy, because me and Tim talked about where she was with Madonna recently, and other artists. She really enjoys some of the older artists. And she brought Shania on. Now, Shania did a wonderful job. Sounded amazing. Controversially, a lot of people said that she sounded a little rough in her last concert. I think that's because she just hadn't sing for years. And as I was just saying, when we were talking about Paul McCartney, right, Tim? it's an instrument. People who aren't singers do not realize that your actual vocal cords are an instrument you train, you have to work through, you have to work with. They can get rough, they need work, you have to do vocal training, right, Tim? And you have to do different things to keep that at its peak level. So she sounds amazing at this most recent of what I've heard. And her with Sabrina was great. Now, what was interesting, though, is she started openly singing in that concert. And I was like, she's singing the wrong verse. I was correct. Bless her heart. It's been so many years since she had performed him that I realized that she started singing the wrong verse of the song. Now, Sabrina Carpenter openly just played with it, made it work right, Tim, and like everything went, it's fine. It all worked out. Now, for those who don't know a lot about Shania Twain, first of all, why don't you know a lot about Shania Twain? She was born Elaine Regina Edwards. She is from Canada. She is one of those people that is very interesting because she basically ran away from her family to become a country singer. And she did her best. And ironically, her mother was married to Jerry Twain. And I don't know how to say this because it's going to sound weird. The term is an Ogibwe man. Now, that word is Asian. I don't know how to say it. I'm not going to try to say it. If I try to sound it, it's going to sound like a white person who's just trying too hard. So just take it for what it is. It translates to On My Way, which I think is very iconic considering the amount of music that she has sang, Tim, that is indicated On My Way. Very interesting. When they signed her to her 1919, that sounded like I'm going to say 1937, and that's depressing. By the way, Tim, one of my employees the other day asked me, how does it feel to be born in the 1900s?
Oh, no.
We're not going to talk about that. So she signed her first record here in 1992. Her label thought Elaine Twain lacked star power, and they changed her to Shania, which, as a OB, whatever I was just saying, translated to On My Way. That's where Shania comes from, which is super sweet. Now, with that being said, her dad, her whole thing, that's where that comes from. Some Asian culture that I probably explained really badly, but we don't need to get into it. If you don't know anything else, they're from Ontario in Canada, and she grew up very poor. Tim, I think you've heard this, right? Mm-hmm. Poverty was the thing. She started singing in bars at just 8 years old. Also, like, what bar is letting an 8-year-old in?
Well, it's Canada. You're thinking of that with US eyes. They're a little bit more liberal up there when you get north of the border.
Okay, well, it doesn't seem like it makes it all right. I just don't think there's any scenario where an 8-year-old should be in a bar.
I don't know. When I was a kid, I would go to the British Legion Club, which is like a Moose Lodge type idea. I remember being in there as a 10-year-old or something.
All right, well, I guess that makes it okay. Tim turned out all right. So apparently she was there helping her parents pay for groceries and rent. And I also actively have a problem with like a child paying for families' groceries and rent, but that's a whole debate for another time. She had to wait until after midnight, after the alcohol sales stopped, just to perform. So she wasn't even performing until after midnight, Tim, as an 8-year-old. That's weird. A tragedy struck in 1987 when her parents were killed in a car accident. I had never heard that till I did the episode, research. At age 22, Shania put her big city dreams on hold, took a job at a resort, and raised her 3 younger siblings. I knew when I watched that documentary of her where she was talking about all this, that she was raising her siblings, but I didn't know why. I did not know that her parents died in a car accident in 1987.
No, that's terrible.
All right. So with that being said, her historic 1990s albums were covered and produced by her then husband, legendary rock producer, who is his name, Tim?
It would be Mutt Lange.
However, in 2008, coupled with she had been separated from Mutt Lange, she moved on, so on and so forth. So later, her is not related. And Swiss businessman Frederick The ball? I don't know. Which, once again, she fell in love with him and produced
Hmm.
his music and so on and so forth. And they've been happily together ever since. That's her current husband. It's a French name. Frederic Therbal. I don't know. I do actually speak French, but I don't know how to say that man's name. Swiss French is a little different than like Parisian French or Quebecois French. Take it for what it is. If I had to guess, Therbal? I don't know. Mr. Frederic is now married to Shania. With that being said, who cares? He's Mr. Shania. That's all that matters. She's the star of the show. With that being said, um, she has a record that no other female artist has ever touched. She's the only female artist in history to have three considered diamond albums.
Mm.
Okay. Which all sold over 10 million copies in the US alone. And I understand we have people who listen outside of the US, but fortunately, the gold standard, right, Tim, in music is kind of how you do in America. Take it for
Yeah.
what it is. This is The Woman in Me, which is in 1995, Come On Over in 1997, and then Up in 2002. Sadly, as I was just saying earlier, Lyme disease silenced her. After massive success in the 90s and the early 2000s, Shania vanished from the spotlight over a decade. She had contracted Lyme disease from a tick bite, which caused severe vocal cord paralysis. And that is a thing. You can Google it. It's not real. For years, she couldn't sing, could barely project her speaking voice. It took over years and multiple open throat surgeries for her and physical therapy, intense vocal training for her to safely be able to return on stage.
Well, there we are. Well, I'm glad that she is back and performing and doing what she is good at.
All right, before we get into my favorite Shania songs, you know I have a bunch, as Sin already knows. A few little things we talked about on this podcast before. And that iconic, that don't impress me much music video. You know, the leopard print outfit? They used that. They made that whole outfit fabrics found in a random street market in Paris. And
Oh,
she says it still fits her perfectly to this day.
well, look at
And
her.
I've also talked about the fact that they've talked about the case that she's holding when she's like got her foot up there and she's waiting for the guy to drive down the thing and say, you know, that don't impress me, Rushton. That little boot case was the boot. That was literally a boot case. It's just an empty boot case. She said the most interesting question or thing everybody asked her is what was in the boot case or whatever. And she's like, nothing. There was nothing in there. It was just an empty case. But she's been asked that for years. In 2007, Canadian astronaut Dave Williams requested Shania's song Up to be played as his morning wake up call upon the, or aboard or whatever, I don't know, whatever you call it when you're on Space Shuttle Endeavour. I don't know, that's what it was called.
Yeah.
I mean, I want Shania to wake me up too. No, I have learned my lesson, Tim. As someone who is consistently not a morning person, any song that I like, don't make it the wake up for me because I don't ever want to hear it again. I made that mistake before.
Yeah, I remember you said you had a
It'll
CD
ruin it.
player that played that CD as your wake up, and it just
No.
completely burns you out. I would not like that.
Some things are better left just alone. So that would just ruin me from Shania forever. So, like, we're just not going to do that. Anyway, so she co-wrote Britney Spears' 2001 hit ballad, "Don't Let Me Be the Last to Know," a long song that was the last song she did with her ex-husband, Mr. Mutt Lange, and became a Britney Spears hit,
Interesting.
which I did not know until I was doing all my little bit of research. Now, with that being said, there are many Shania Twain songs we could talk about. I will let Tim tell you what he feels about Shania because I know he has very specific feelings, emotional outbursts, and then I will give you my top 10 songs that I want to talk about.
Okay.
Where are you going to go, Tim? What do you want to say about Shania? What do you want the people to know that you feel about her?
Well, I just want to know that she was an icon, certainly of the 90s. She had amazing hits, very catchy songs that people loved. and she was one of the first true, well, maybe not one of the first, but one of the people who you think about when you think about country pop crossover artists. She really did crossover. I mean, obviously Dolly Parton did that, and there were other artists that did that, but she went from being sort of a only a country artist to being someone who was on the UK hit parade, as it were, especially at a time when there wasn't a lot of like US country artists even known about in the UK.
Yes, so that's interesting because I really wasn't sure what the crossover to the UK was, but you just confirmed what I kind of assumed. I assumed she was known there. I thought she was, but you just confirmed that. Now, with that being said, we're going to step into the actual music. I gave you a little bit of historical. We're going to just let Tim say this because I know Tim is a Shania fan. With that being said, we're going to start with one of my favorites, Any Man of Mine, Shania Twain.
Yeah, great Shania song. I don't think it's one of the ones that's. She's probably got three or four that everybody knows. I don't know if this is one that's certainly from a UK perspective that's the case, but it is a classic Shania song.
So you just brought up a very interesting breakdown. Because for me, I think this is the first Shania Twain song that I think of, period, in like someone who grew up in the South. Now, I did have family who were into country music. So that, my mother liked a good country Reba, kind of 90s country situation. This video with her in that jean little cute little outfit and any man of mine, and then she's talking about you don't want to be a man of mine, like that, like when she says that, that's literally what she says in the song, right, Tim? You don't want to be a man of mine, like that lives rent free in my head because this was like everywhere in America. So you're talking mid 90s, 95, 96. I don't know the exact year that this came about. It had to be when I was like 6 years old. I was 6 years old, Tim, probably when this song came out. And because my mother listened to CMT, for those who are not in America, country music television is what it is. It's the same thing as like VH1 or MTV, but it was country related, right? And so, but that little, like, where she's sitting there, she's leaning on the, it's like a fence, and she's wearing this jean outfit, and she's just saying, yeah, you don't want to be a man of mine. Like, she has this sassiness that was so iconic from the get-go, that is like, when I think of peak Shania, that's the first thing that comes to mind to me, is her saying, you don't want to be a man of mine, because she sort of just told you, I'm not easy to work with. And I think about this relentlessly.
Well, the thing you have to remember as well, in England, we didn't really have CMT.
Yes.
When satellite TV became mainstream, they had a lot of channels to fill. And at the time, we didn't really have a lot of multi-channel TV in the UK. So they would occasionally put stuff on there even for just short periods of time. And I remember when we had satellite TV, they did start showing CMT, and it was the same feed from the United States. So we had it, for a few months, and then it just disappeared. For whatever reason, it just wasn't very popular, and then they needed to fill that transponder with something else. So I think maybe around this time, certainly for this song, it wasn't one that was popular because we didn't have that kind of influence.
It's very interesting to me because, like, that for me, Tim, and I'm not saying you're wrong. I think you're 100% right. That's probably why. But that is, like, the most, like, when I was thinking about this episode, that is where Shania started. That moment of her sassiness and her very country, like, this is who I am, you just got to deal with it. Like, you know what I mean, Tim? For me, that was, like, how Shania started. I'm sure there was more behind that, but that was, like, her career jettison into what it is now. And, everybody loves Shania Twain. If you don't like Shania Twain, well, we'll talk about that later. You need to get together. You just don't know any now. Now, the next song that always has stood out to me is my favorite Shania Twain song. I learned this on the ukulele. Tim probably knows this song. I'm going to tell you. It's No One Needs to Know. And the reason I absolutely adore, love, find this song so good. So this is probably mid-90s as well. It was probably second or third song. Now, this was definitely produced by Mutt Lange because his vocal cords come in so beautifully. Now, weirdly enough, this song was used in the movie Twister.
Really?
I don't know if you knew that, Tim. Did you know that?
Well, I'd never seen the film Twister, unsurprisingly, but I do know that Van Halen is on the soundtrack album to Twister. The songs Humans Being and the instrumental cut Respect the Wind. But I did not know about anything else that's on that soundtrack.
Okay, so the reason I know this song was on Twister is not because I really know much. I remember the movie because it was a 90s iconic kind of classic movie, and there's that scene where the Twisters are picking up all the cows. Like, if you Google it, you can see it. But anyway, I don't remember much about the movie. But anyway, the reason I know this movie is in Twister is, first of all, this may, if not is, Tim, my favorite Shania Twain song. Everything about this song is classic 90s, beautiful, good chord progression. Tim could probably tell you the chords, Joey can't, but she actually probably could because she learned on the ukulele years ago, but she doesn't remember off the top of her head. With that being said, this is my favorite, but in the video, she's sitting on the porch of a very country, southern looking house, and the Twister's going off, and it was used in the movie Twister. That's the only reason I know it was used in the. And at one point when she's like talking about no one needs to know, and like behind her the ceiling fan is creaking because there's a Twister, Tim. It was literally used in the movie. That's all I remember. Now this song, if you have never, I'm assuming Tim has heard the song No One Needs to Know. I'm sure he has 1,000 times.
It is probably one of her more country sounding songs, if I'm being honest. It comes from that album, the one that's just called Shania Twain. And it's the one that probably everybody has if you're a casual fan of Shania Twain. But yeah, it has very, with the fiddle and everything, it does sound country-esque.
Well, Joy grew up in Southwest Virginia, so we take for it for what it is. But that would, am I dreaming or stupid? I think I'm in hit by Cupid, but no one needs to know right now. That verse, and then I got my heart set, my feet, and Mutt Lange doing that harmony in the background, Tim. I can't let it. And what's so funny about this podcast, I didn't know Mutt Lange was a person until we started doing this podcast. Would never knew. Mutt Lange sounds like a bad rapper's name. Is his name legally Mutt Lange, Tim?
Yeah, I mean, he's from South Africa.
But
well, his name is Robert John Mutt Lange.
I was going to say, no, his name is, yes, maybe it's Lynn, but that's not his birth name. There's no way that man was born Mutt Lange.
Yeah, Robert John Mutt Lange, Mutt being his nickname. He's much of a recluse. He works with these rock artists. He never gives interviews. He's rarely seen anywhere. And he lived, I think he still lives in South Africa, but, you know, he's a genius in the realm of production. And the way he prepares backing vocals and the way he sings those backing vocals with his artists, it's so iconic. I mean, you look at Def Leppard.
It is. It is.
The pre-Mutt Lange Def Leppard is a different band. When Mutt Lange got involved, certainly from a production perspective, of course, but you listen to those vocal stacks and those vocal harmonies, it's all Mutt Lange. There's like 52 Mutt Langes all over Def Leppard's Hysteria.
And it's so funny because, like, I was singing that, you know, because I'm like, Tim's literally seen Joy did a version of that on her Instagram, right, with the ukulele. Like, this song lives rent free in my head. I have heard it since a small child. It is controversially my favorite Shania Twain song. And, you know, when it's like, I got my heart wet, my feet wet, and you don't even, that, like, that harmony there, Tim, is beautiful.
Yeah.
But it would have been, because it's very generic, right, Tim? It's very acoustically generic. Without whatever Mutt Lange put on that production, it wouldn't have sold.
No.
It's country generic that got my heart, but whatever he did, and controversially, I have no clue what Mutt Lange's, because Tim says he doesn't talk to anybody. Nobody knows anything about this man. He's just worth millions, and he exists and came from South Africa at some point and goes by Mutt, which I find hilarious. But controversially, like, whatever he did on Shania's soundtrack right there, it sounds so good. But as like a 90s kid, I never picked up on it, Tim.
No.
But looking back now, as someone who loves music and is looking at it more from like a different lens, right, Tim? And like someone who like loves that, I'm like, dang, he really like made that different. Shania's wonderful. She sounds great. Her with the guitar, with the shoes off, the little jean vest, like all of it's wonderful. But whatever he did to sell that, that little harmony, that little, and like I don't know. This song though, Tim, and yes, Joy's gonna be very dramatic. This episode is Shania Twain episode. If you didn't think I was gonna be dramatic, well, you need to get off this podcast. Everything about it is so good, but that little some way somehow when she says that, and then he comes and he does that little some way some. I can't even make. What is that tone that he does, Tim? Like I can't even. For the listeners, what does like what's that sound?
Well,
I
he
mean, I
does
guess
a
it's
thing
a tone.
with backing vocals for Def Leppard where you whisper things and it
It's
sounds like a
true.
chorus of shouting. I don't know if it's the same production technique used here.
I don't know. I don't know what it is, Tim, but it is a masterclass in harmony, is what it is.
Yeah. He's got that down
Can
completely.
I say what we need to tell the people? If me and Tim are singing the same song together, that doesn't mean we're singing harmony, right, Tim?
No, that's unison singing. That's Banana Rama singing.
And there's a situation in life where people think that that is harmony.
Yeah, well,
Thank you for
they're
giving my
people in
TED
local
talk.
bands who don't understand how harmonies work.
And that's okay, but at least admit it. Like, for those who don't understand layering, go to listen to a choir sing, right, Tim? You got your
Yeah.
tenors, you got your altos, you got your sopranos, you got your bass, you got somebody singing somewhere, and you got someone going some way, and then you got another going some way, right, Tim? That's how you layer. Thank you for coming by TED Talk. I really struggle with it. It actually makes me actively upset, Tim. And maybe this is a first world problem. When someone hears someone singing the same song, go, and they sound good together, and they're like, well, they harmonize well. And I'm like, but they're not actually singing harmony. They just sound good together. There's a difference.
There we are.
Tim's like, welcome to being in a band in Southwest Virginia. All right, back to Shania. So with that being said, there are many, many Shania Twain songs we could talk about. Me and Tim have spoken many at nauseum about her. But we could do Any Man of... We just did Any Man of Mine. I just said that. I was going to move on to the next one. I don't know why I brought that back up. The next one we're going to talk about is... probably the one that brings the most happiness is that don't impress me much, Tim. Because like, man, sometimes you guys need to be reminded, just because you're Brad Pitt doesn't mean you impress us, Tim. They just don't impress us.
Yeah, this is one of the most iconic Shania songs. And I will say the version that is known most in the UK, and in fact, I just pulled it up on the Spotify. There's two versions of it.
He gave
There's
it a
one,
Google live on air.
yeah, there's one which is very much more of a country kind of feel. And the version that we got in England is what's called the dance mix. And it is a lot more dance orientated. And that
I
is the
don't think
one.
I've ever heard that one.
Have you never heard that one?
I don't think I have. There's a dance version of that don't impress me much?
Yeah. So so probably the version that you're familiar with has like steel guitars on it and it sounds
Yeah.
like countrified. The UK version of it, the one that we got the most, is like this dance version of it. Have you never heard that?
I mean, maybe like at a club, but I've not actively heard it like out of interesting.
I
So
think
what
Joy
does the dance version
live on
sound?
this podcast. Where it
Hold on.
Shania don't. Where are
There's
we?
a Shania version of something I've never heard. This is a problem. I saw, wait a minute.
Okay, let me. I'm finding this for you live on air, Joy.
I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah,
Oh,
let me just check it's the right version before I send it over. My ad blocker is working overtime here. Um,
I
okay,
Wait
here
a
it is. Here
minute.
it is, Joy. I'm going to send this to you right now, live on podcast air, and I want you to hear this.
All right, I'm going to the Facebook so I can. Are you going to send to me on the Facebooks or should I
Yes,
just?
I am.
Yeah.
That's the official communication medium of the offline No Name Musicast.
All right. I don't
Have
know
a
that I've
have
heard this.
have a listen to
Oh,
it.
oh, absolutely. I've heard this version. Wait a second. Wait a second. Wait. No, 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 no. I just lied to you straight on this podcast. I've heard this version. I've heard this version. It's it's got the best vibes. I've heard this version.
Yeah, the
This
other
was
version is very much more like a country thing. And I was looking at the comments on the YouTube, and a few people were saying I thought the official music video version sounded a bit off. And that's probably, as I said, the version we got in the UK was this version, not the more
okay.
countrified version.
Yes, yes, yes. I've heard both versions. I love them both. I love a country Shania as someone who's from the South, right, Tim? Like I've openly said this on this podcast. But no, I've heard this. This was the version that played when Joy was at the roller skating rink. when I don't know what I was thinking that like you know what I mean, the kind of dance. Wow, that sounds terrible. Glad this is an audio podcast and I just threw that in everybody's ear. But you can isolate that and use it to me in the future or whatever. That don't
Didn't
impress
impress
me
me
much.
much.
Yeah, I've heard this version. I don't know that I realized that. I thought there was like a more version that I wasn't. Yeah, I've heard that. I have most, but I will say, as someone who grew up on CMT, I've heard the country version more. I definitely heard the country version more, but I think my favorite part about this video is if you've ever watched the Shania documentary that come out, the most recent one, I might actually give it the link to Tim so he could put this in the show notes or whatever. But the most recent documentary that she actively talked and does him about like some of her experiences. The funniest thing about this is she's wearing in the original video, she's wearing that cheetah print outfit. I made the joke about it earlier where she talks about she puts her foot up on what looks like just an empty cheetah print esque box.
Yeah.
And that was the box with the shoes she's wearing. It was the shoe boot box. But for some reason, she said for years, everybody kept asking her, what was in the box? What was in the box? She was like, nothing. I took the boots off and I'm wearing them. And she said, for weirdly enough, she just kept getting asked that question. I thought that was the funniest thing ever. My other favorite thing about Shania, because she is a true performer, when she performs a song, sometimes she changes the lyrics. So, well, are you Brad Pitt? That doesn't impress me, or whatever. She'll change it to people in the audience. So, for example, Ryan Reynolds, the artist or the actor, it doesn't matter if you know who he is, you've heard his name. She'll
Yeah.
change it to whoever's in the audience. Oh, so you think you're Ryan Reynolds? That doesn't impress me much. Love it. Fantastic. Amazing. My other favorite Shania moment in history, there was some sports ball kicking people, hockey. I don't know. They had pucks or something, Tim, whatever. Where she went and she was, the Canadian that she is, she was part of this. And she pulls up singing That Don't Impress Me Much. Sleigh dogs, like actual like huskies, pulled her up and they put her on stage and it snowed the entire time. And I think Justin Trudeau, who is like, the Canadian prime minister. They have prime ministers, right?
He was a prime minister of
He's
Canada,
not
probably was
now.
at the time, and he's now Mr. Katy Perry.
Absolutely. So, Mr. Katy Perry was the prime minister at that exact moment. And guess what she changed the lyric to say?
So
That don't impress
you
me
think of
much.
Justin Trudeau? That don't impress me much.
So fun. So I love that. Love that. And she was kind of really owning her Canadian roots as she is. I feel like people know that some of the best artists in the world are Canadian. We got what we got. Shania Twain, Celine Dion,
Paul
Justin,
Schaefer,
Justin
Brian
Bieber.
Adams.
The list goes on and on.
Absolutely.
So with that being said, here's a question for Tim though. I'm gonna put him on the spot. As a Shania Twain aficionado, what is your favorite Shania Twain song?
Um, I think the one about man's shirts and short skirts, I would say. The one that we
And
just discussed is probably my second favorite, but Man, I Feel Like a Woman is probably the most iconic one. Mostly because when I was playing lots of gigs at the Lakeside Country Club in Frimley,
of
with the
course.
Guilty Party, we played a Christmas season there in particular, where we played Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I believe for 6 weeks, I think it was. It was a whole Christmas
Yeah.
season we played there. And the guy who run the DJ, Tony, like when you play your first set and they go over to Tony, they go bam 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 bam, and it's like he had 7 songs on his disco music, and he always played that Shania Twain song.
So, to be fair, whatever that, and I don't even know Shania, because Shania is actually, I think Tim knows this, and I think a lot of people, she wrote a lot of her own music with Mutt Lange a lot of the times, but also she can play the guitar. So I don't know if she did that intro or whatever, but that Let's Go Girls did. Now, the funniest part about that, and I knew this was going to come up, Going Out Tonight, that song, that's what Tim's
Yeah.
talking about, it's the Robert Palmer. Okay, so we have to get into it, Tim. As a woman who may not like some of the situations in the world that sometimes put women down, what Shania did with that, and they actively refused to put her on air. So Tim knows what I'm talking. It's the Robert Palmer video with the women in the background, "Addicted
Yeah,
to Love."
Addicted to Love, that video, yes.
And the women are back there and they're swaying to the music. They got the little guitar. So she flipped the switch. Shania made men do that in a music video. Wow, we love an iconic woman. And that was the whole premise. Is because when you're watching, you say, I love that song. I absolutely adore that video. I love Addicted to Love and Robert Palmer. And the thing about it is you actually talked to Robert Palmer about it. And I did some Googling. He wasn't mad at Shania. He thought it was fantastic. He loved it. He thought it was great. He loved someone to flip the switch because most active musicians, Tim, are generally liberal and also generally want the thing about music and or art should always be interpretational and like moving forward, right, Tim? It should never be static. If your music or your thoughts or your feelings become static, that's when we have a problem. So she thought it would be fun to do this, and flip it.
Yeah.
Now, if you have not seen the controversial she went through to get that on air, then you live under a rock. It was hard. They fought back because she was CMT, unfortunately, just like when Dolly had some of her kind of issues getting some of her music on the air. They pushed back. They refused to put that song out there. The only reason it got put out was because she put it out as a single and people wanted it. They didn't like the music video. They didn't like the concept of it. It was truly like a feminist moment in history. And if you've never seen her talk about it, she had to fight tooth and nail to get that on air, Tim.
Interesting.
Did you know that?
No, I didn't really know much about it, to be honest.
I'm sad that a lot of people haven't known that. And I'm glad I could bring this out to the thing. I need to actually hold on. Let me look this up because I want to quote it to you. There's a beautiful quote from where she talks about this. She literally got so much pushback from record execs and everybody out there. And she was like, why is this such a big deal? Why was it okay when Robert Palmer did it in 10 plus years ago, Tim, on MTV?
Mm-hmm.
But when a woman did it, they all lost their mind. Shocker, Tim. Weird how that works. Hold on, let me give it a Google live on air so I give you guys the exact quote. Come on.
Joy
We're
is
doing
Googling
the
it right now as we speak.
I might have lost. So she flipped the script. She parodied Robert Palmer's 1980 music video dressed in the sharp black tuxedo, and so on and so forth. So let me click this. By the way, this was collaborated and produced by Mutt Lange.
Of course.
Of course it was. It's her best. And she really did get a lot of pushback about it. And what they basically said was it wasn't appropriate for CMT. Country music television wasn't ready for it. It was shot in New York. It was directed by Paul Boyd. By the way, he may have been a member of the LGBTQ plus crowd, which I think contributed to all this. The role reverse, Robert Palmer's Addicted to Love, Simply Irresistible, and the music stands in front of a group of men, all dressed alike, so on and so forth. But the irony was is she puts it out as a single. So many people wanted to hear it that they were getting active calls like, we want to hear the song, we want to hear the song, we want to hear the song. So eventually they put it out on the air. The video won the Much More Music Video of the Year in 2000. The video is an alternative mix which tones down the guitar rhythm and synth parts and blends into the background. So I thought that was interesting. I didn't know that was a thing, Tim. Did you know that was a thing?
No.
Never heard that before. The alternative mix of the video is available on Twain's Come On Over video contemplation. You know, she did that whole thing where she was putting out all her music and talking to all her fans or whatever. But that was the only way they could get it out there, is they kind of toned it down, I guess. The irony, though, is like turning to the music, they didn't tone down the video. It's still Robert Palmer flipped. I don't know how they got that out there. Now, the funny part is, Tim will find this, was number one on Top of the Pops in 1999. And on YouTube, Man of Feeling Woman is Twain's most viewed video to this day with 394 million views. And the revenge, so it's just interesting. She fought very hard to get this out there. And what she did was she flipped the script. She put the single out. Her fans demanded it, and eventually they let her put the actual video out. Go, Shania, go. We love it. We love it. It's like when the Spice Girls had to put their records and their knickers, as they called it, and ran away because they wouldn't let them. With that being said, did you know the history of that and how she worked so hard to get that on air too?
No, I didn't know, because I mean, they were an all-seeing entity back then, MTV. They really were. They were a law to themselves, because it was pretty much only the game in town when it came to music videos. You know, Much Music in Canada came along, and VH1 and other such stuff in other European countries. But, you know, they were the all-powerful MTV at the time.
Well, so what's interesting is, though, she was getting it put out on CMTV, and then it made it to MTV. This was her, like, how she you know what I mean, Tim? Like, she became that pop hit. And CMTV gave her so much pushback until, guess what? Her fans were like, give us Shania, give us Shania. And then it transcended. And this really was the moment that she transcended into, she took that country to pop. One of my favorite things that I love is whenever Shania has a TikTok, if y'all didn't know. And she made a joke. There was this TikTok trend where it's like, Mama said this was okay. And Mama said this was okay to become a country star and a pop star. And Baba was Dolly Parton.
Ah, there you go.
Yay. All right. So, because Joy is very keen to early 90s Shania, and she kind of hates the later 90s stuff. Sorry, guys. Spoiler alert. My other favorite Shania song is Whose Bed Have Your Boots Been Under? That's my other favorite, Tim. Assuming you know this song.
I do. It's not one of the more popular Shania songs. I mean, I'm looking at the top 10 played on the Spotify, and that song doesn't appear, because, in fact, there are 3 versions of that Don't Impress Me Much in that chart.
Well, that stresses me out because, I mean, whose lips have you been? For me, and maybe I have a very, I don't know. I guess it's what you grew up on, right, Tim? Like, as someone who grew up in Southwest Virginia, and when I think of Shania, I do think of her and her country roots. I really do. And that is a debate for another time. This song is wonderful, though. And this feel like thunder, babe. Those harmonies, once again, I'm going to say something controversially. I like her when she was with Mutt Lange.
Yeah,
everything about it is so good.
Mutt Lange is a production powerhouse. You know, you can say what you like about Mutt Lange, but the music that he was involved with, whether it's AC/DC, Shania Twain, Def Leppard, I mean, he puts this sheen over it that makes it an instant pop hit. It's just the way that he does it. And all these artists have never done as well as they had when they worked with Mutt Lange.
I know. And I don't know anything about him. The thing about it is he's done a really good job at keeping his life very quiet, I guess, for lack of a saying. And people don't really speak negatively or positively. I don't know. He's like a mystery, right, Tim?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know anything about him. And controversially, Shania had like a very big divergence in her music when he left her.
Yeah.
And maybe it became, I hate to say it, became less country. And I'm not saying I don't love a pop music Shania, like up, 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 we're only, it's great, right? That up song or whatever is great. But it's not Shania to me. Whose bed have your boots been under? It's Shania Twain to me. And it will always be that way. And maybe that is also because, if people haven't picked up on this, Joy grew up in the South.
Yes.
And so she grew up around country music. And so there's probably something very nostalgic about this. But whose bed have your boots been? That thing, I don't know why I'm singing so much on this podcast, probably because I love Shania Twain. But with that being said, Tim, that sound, I don't know what Maling did. He put drugs in it. He made it exactly what it used to be. It's kind of like when we talk about something I was seeing recently, telling about people in Switzerland doing pop music. Swiss pop music. Switzerland, Tim? Is that the word I was trying to say? The Swiss pop people.
Yeah, well, the Swiss pop people.
Okay, that sounded weird the way it came off my tongue, but I wasn't trying to say it that way. There's something to be said about whatever they put in it, like the ABBA kind of sound or whatever it is. This prime mid 90s Shania is where it lives for me. I actually really kind of lost it when she gets into kind of the lovey-dovey, maybe she was too happy.
Yeah, but I mean,
So,
you look at a hit like "Still the One." I mean, that is the most streamed song on the Spotify.
which
I
I don't
like
care
that
for.
track. I really like that track.
It's not. I do like it, and I get it. There's her voice is gorgeous. She's still though, like that sound is gorgeous, but I don't know. I just really love mid '90s Shania Twain.
Well,
Probably very niche.
as we've said before, you like what you like, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Now, we are getting close to the end of the show. Do you have a particular song or thought of Shania that you would like to share before we say goodbye for the evening?
Yes. Hold on one second because I need to think about this. This is a very important thing to me. Probably shouldn't. But I need to know the perfect way to end this Shania Twain episode.
Okay.
Don't be stupid. It's gotta be don't be stupid, Tim. The river dancing video. Does that mean anything to you?
No, because I can tell you, up to recently, I typically haven't watched a lot of music videos outside of the iconic ones. But thanks to the fact that the Spotify now has music videos, I've created what I call MTV with a big playlist of music videos, and I watch it over breakfast in the morning. So I'm starting to see some of these videos. Maybe I need to add that to my MTV playlist.
So, controversially, Don't Be Stupid, mid 90s, Don't Be Stupid? You know that song, right, Tim? I'm sure you've heard that before. Amazing, beautiful, amazing. What's weird about this music video is that they're literally river dancing in the music video. And so there's water and they're dancing and there's a whole troupe of, I don't know, is river dancing Irish? I think it's Irish.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Well, I'm American, and sometimes I get Ireland is Scottish and all that mixed up. So I thought I was right. So there's like a troupe of like Irish people like in this video with her, and they're literally river dancing. That's like the iconic music video they used to play at CMT all the time when I was a kid. I want Tim to watch this on air right now. He made me look up something earlier. I want Tim to look this up on air. So in this people, you've never seen this music video.
No, I've never seen it. I'm going to be, when we hang up this call, I will pull it up.
Right now, give it a Goog. Don't be stupid. You know I love you. Don't be ridiculous. That's the song. But in the video, it is prime Shania. She looks fantastic, amazing, but she's weirdly river dancing. I don't know. I don't know if she knows how to river dance, but she did it in the video.
Yeah. As they say, frankly, my dear, I don't river dance.
I just find it funny that like Tim's never seen this, and me, this lives rent free in my head. All right, Tim, are you ready?
Yeah.
Go for it.
Okay. Let me see if I can pull it up here.
Don't be ridiculous. You know I want. Anyway, also another song I'm sure that Mutt Lange was behind because sadly for me, peak Shania was Mutt Lange Shania.
Okay, I'm pulling it up now. It's got fiddles, yes. But there was a time during this era that river dance was a thing, and I remember it being like there was like play theatres in London, London's West End, the Hammersmith Odeon, where river dance and similar Lord of the Dance, Michael Flatley's I Love the Dance. That was a huge thing.
Well, Shania was on the trope. I don't know. This lives rent free in my head. More than even the song. I like the song, but the video was so iconic. Like, I guess I had never seen anything. And yes, fiddles or violins, depending on who you're talking to. But yeah, you've never seen this music video, Ted. That's
Never. They're
interesting.
all splashing around in water. I'm seeing it for the first time.
That's Hannah would make him shut it off if we weren't on headphones right now. That probably would be what was happening. With that being said, as a Shania Twain lover, I was shocked. We've talked about her ad nauseum on this podcast, but you're really shocked we hadn't did an episode, Tim. Is there anything you would like to leave the people with before we go?
Just be kind to everyone that you meet.
All right, I agree. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
To remind me of another day to come.